So I started doing ethnobotany, and that became intense when my mother passed away from breast cancer. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll go back to medical school and become an oncologist. But then I was reading a book by Robert Coles, the Harvard sociologist, who wrote that when your passion and talents intersect a deep societal need, you're hearing a call. So I thought, well, let's think here. I speak a number of indigenous languages. I have a PhD in rainforest biology. I care deeply about conservation. I care deeply about indigenous people. Maybe if I could discover a new drug, that would, if I was an oncologist, I could help dozens of patients. If I was discovering a new drug, I could help millions of people. So I went to my friends at the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Gordon Cragg was head of the U.S. National Cancer Institute Natural Products Branch. And I said, I think I've got a 1% chance of discovering a new drug if I try this. And they said, oh, we've been talking about you, Paul, and we think you might have a 3% chance. I thought, 3%, I'm in. So, and then right then a real miracle happened. I got a letter from the White House. The United States President gave me a very large award of money to spend on any research I wanted. So I got my children and my wife and Barbara, and we went to spend a year in a very remote rainforest on a very beautiful island in Samoa called Savai'i. We went to a remote little village called Falealupo, and it's a beautiful village with a big white sandy beach. When we were there, there was no electricity, there was no running water, but we lived in this little hut on the beach, and then I studied with women on how they used plants for medicine. I didn't find anything that could treat breast cancer. I was disappointed. But I was really struck when one of the healers told me she had a plant that she could treat something she called fever sama, which I wrote in my book as acute viral syndrome. And I sent, with the government's permission and the village permission, samples of this to my colleagues at the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda, Maryland, and together with some beautiful chemistry by John Butler and John Cardellina at National Cancer Institute, we discovered a new drug candidate for HIV/AIDS. This was really exciting to me. But then the government said, they drew up patent papers, they wanted me to sign them. I said, well, I can't sign this because I did not invent this. It was this woman that told me about this, a healer, and another woman that told me about it. And I didn't want to sign anything unless I know they're part of the deal. So it was like kicking an anthill with patent lawyers running around. You want us to put healers on patents? I said, I want to make sure these people are protected. And the government stood behind me on this. So this was sort of fun. I made the front page of the Financial Times in London because intellectual property rights of indigenous people were being recognized for the first time, and it seemed to me just a normal thing to do. So things are going very well. So this is Barbara. Some of you know her. She's going to hear more about her in a second. My daughter there on the left of the screen, Emily, is a professor now at the University of Washington. Mary, who's sitting next to her, is a professor in Vienna University. Hillary is a full-time mom, and Paul Matthew, the little boy, he came to me, he said, Dad, I have something important to tell you. He was a college student. I thought, uh-oh. I said, what's that? He said, I don't want to be a botanist. He said, I want to be an investment banker. I'm like, hallelujah. There's my retirement. So he works for Morgan Stanley. And it's very good. Things were going great, and then something terrible happened. International logging firms showed up and started cutting down the rainforest where the plant grew that we collected the anti-AIDS drug from. Wow. And the people were so upset, the villagers, and watching these big bulldozers with chains just knocking the forest down. So I asked the village chiefs, why did you let these people in here, these loggers? They said that the government required them, the government of Samoa required them to build a new school, a proper school. And if they did not build it, that the government would pull the teachers, and so their children could not be educated. So they were really upset. So I said, what if I could raise the money to build the school? Could you stop it? These loggers. Well, Samoans are great people, but boy, do they move fast. They sent 2 chiefs with machetes up to the forest to chase the bulldozers away. So I came back to Barbara with good news and bad news. Good news was that we had saved a 12,000 hectare, 30,000 acre lowland rainforest. Bad news was that we would have to sell our house, our car, and maybe one of our 4 children. Because I had just about 6 weeks to raise the money. It required $85,000 cash to buy the logging rights. So, you know if your marriage is working in a moment like that. So Barbara held my hand, and this is what she said. She said, Paul, how often in our lifetime will we get a chance to do something like this? Let's go for it. Well, I was a professor. Word got out, we were selling our house and cashing out. And without really trying very hard, our family and friends, everybody chipped in. And within 6 weeks, we had $85,000 and didn't even have to lose our house. Think of that. So I went back to Samoa with 85 grand in my backpack. And we went in, and I went into the development bank. We paid off the loan. We essentially bought the logging rights out from under the logging company, paid for the school entirely, and went with about several hundred villagers to the logging company, and they said, don't ever come back and cut another tree. So that was a great thing. And I thought, well, maybe that's why I was born on Earth, to help this little village of these wonderful people get a school. That was my dream, always to help indigenous people. Sorry, I get emotional, because this is real stuff. Isn't just some story. I was there. So I took a couple of the key donors down, and we had a kava ceremony with the Polynesians, and they have a really cool culture. It's just amazing, and they're so polite to each other and so lovely. And so they said, well, we want you to become a chief. I said, nope. I said, prime directive, do not, this is what you're taught in Anthropology 101, do not become a native deity, And they said, no, we're not kidding, and we will not protect the forest unless you accept the title. So that's where the title of Nafanua came from. And turns out Nafanua was a person in their history who protected the Samoans from oppression and taught them to protect the forest. And they somehow felt that I had the spirit of this person. Anyway, so I preserved patent rights for the Samoan people. 20% of all commercial proceeds has to go to Samoa, split between the government, the village, the healer families. But getting into drug development is really like getting into glaciology. It takes a long time. I wanted something faster to get a return to these wonderful people. And one day I asked Pela Lilo, why is your hair so beautiful? She's 97 years old. She has this beautiful skin, it's radiant, you know? She says, well, we use plants. I said, well, I know you use plants for medicine. No, we use them for our hair, for our skin. So I got really interested in what they were doing with plants. And I'm going to require now 2 volunteers. Let's, please, thank you. You have to come up on the stage and sit in a stool. And thank you, Greenie. Yes, come on over. I'd like to come on around this side. There's the steps there. Let me show you some of the things I learned from the healers in Samoa. To the organizers, I'm sorry, I shouldn't tell that story. Okay, so this is a very important plant in their culture, and I just happened to bring some from Hawaii. This is called Lauti. In Tongan, it's called C. Tahiti, it's called T. And this is Corlidae terminalis. This is just room temperature water. What's your name?
My name's Patty.
Where are you from?
I'm from Hawaii, and I was in Samoa in January.
Wow. She's not a ringer, I'm telling you. So hold this. I'm going to put this on your forehead, okay? Like they say in TSA, permission to touch. And then I want you to tell them what you feel, okay? What does it feel like? You can talk.
It feels cool.
Okay.
It feels relaxing. It feels relaxing.
There we go.
Wow, I like that. It feels really good. Next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Feels very
Feels like
relaxing.
what?
Muscles feel relaxed.
Okay, now, I want you to touch that leaf. What's the temperature of that leaf? What's the temperature of that leaf? Warm. This plant sucks heat out. Okay? It sucks heat right out. Okay? Tennis shoe. Untie, please. Okay, now, I've got a few of these here. Why don't we pass a few of these out here? Who could be my runner? Could you help me maybe? Yeah. Just put a few out. Front, back, middle. But get some of them back too. Okay. So we made a product that has 3% by volume, that leaf. This is called Firewalker.
Yeah, I think the last 2. Let me see.
You are?
I'm Candice Hunter from South Africa. From Port Elizabeth.
You know, they have a wonderful university there in Port Elizabeth with wild vervets walking around campus.
Yes. My daughter's school, my son's school, they have monkeys running around the playground. So they have to eat inside, or they steal their food. It's very cool. Mm-hmm.
Well, the best thing to do is if you could grow this tree and go pick the leaf and rub it on your partner's foot. But if you don't have that, this works. This is Ice Dancer. Firewalker. But as long as we're talking about Ice Dancer, might as well see if I've got some in my little bag here. You two stay there. Okay, this is Ice Dancer. Now this has in it a mint that Native Americans use to run 100 miles. Did you know that? They have what they call a sun dance, which is actually a sacred ritual for the Native Americans, where they dance consistently for 3 or 4 days. Now I need somebody with a Do we have another microphone somewhere? Did you have one? I want somebody to be our timekeeper. What I want to do is we're gonna experiment on you again, okay? You're gonna put that wonderful leg out there. You can do this yourself, by the way. Oh, do you have a timer? Yeah, you can time. Okay, we got a timer. So I want you to time, once I start putting this on, timer 90 seconds, please. 90 seconds when we start. I'll tell you when we start. I want you to tell me the sensations you're feeling. Okay? What does it feel like right now?
Feels cool.
Okay.
It feels
Start
relaxing.
timing. Thank you. Tell me the 90 seconds are up. Tell me if you feel any change in sensation.
Everything just feels more relaxed.
Okay. Now you can almost set your watch by this. Because there's a sudden change. It feels cool initially. Let's see what happens. She's thinking about it. Warriors are thoughtful people. Tell me in 90 seconds you're up. Any change in
It
sensation?
doesn't feel cool.
Okay. I actually did this. I was in Japan, in Tokyo. A guy wanted to interview me about my pharmaceutical research. I wanted to talk about new skin, so I actually started rubbing this on his leg. And after 90 seconds or so, or how close now do we have to go? 20 seconds to
Yeah,
go.
starts shifting a little bit to warm.
Okay.
Not hot, just a little warm.
Okay. Most people, at about a minute and a half, 90 seconds, start feeling cool. They feel cool and they feel warm. So you start off cool, now you're feeling warm, right? And the reason is that I put a plant in here from a 400-year-old European herbal. It's a vasodilator. It dilates the, those of you that drink alcohol, that's not me, but those of you who drink alcohol understand that. It makes you feel warm, okay? So, anyway, I didn't mean to leave you out. Let's put some in there.
My husband and I flew from South Africa, which is 37 hours, and 4 weeks ago I had an operation on my right ankle. I had 7 screws removed in a plate, and my ankle was really swollen on the flight. And after using the ice dance, I could definitely feel major relief.
This was actually Firewalker. It was chosen the top personal care product in the United Kingdom, and it's prescribed by podiatrists over there for post-operative foot care. So I'm not an MD, but I'm not out of practice here. Okay, great. Well, let's thank our colleagues here. Okay. So thank you very much. And can you take some of these and share them with whoever you're sitting by? Okay, great. Thank you. The plants the indigenous people use work. Okay, so we don't have to make claims about them. We do not make medical claims for Epoch products. We just say it contains a plant used by indigenous people, the way they've used it for hundreds of years. We know why they work, because I've consulted with half a dozen major pharmaceutical firms. I know exactly why people feel the things they do. But my feeling is that the people that you're selling products to are smart people, and they'll figure it out. They will figure it out that it works. So that's the secret of the Epoch line. So let me go on ahead here. So here we are. So I wrote a paper that it would be possible to create personal care products from plants used by indigenous people, just the same way I've discovered pharmaceutical compounds from indigenous knowledge. And, you know, when I write a paper, and scientific paper, maybe 12 people read it, like, including my relatives and in-laws. This one is huge. I started getting calls from major cosmetic firms and air tickets. One outfit picked me up in New York City in a limousine that was bigger than my apartment at Harvard. And they're very nice. They want me to design a line of cosmetics for them and personal care products based on plants used by indigenous people. Everything went great until I said, well, how much money are you going to send back to these indigenous people? They said, well, no, our lawyers won't allow us to do that. Wow. And I went through several of these, the world's largest cosmetic firms. So I was discouraged, and one day a friend saw me, and he said, why are you discouraged? I said, man, these cosmetic firms, they're terrible. And he said, have you heard of Nu Skin? I said, well, I've heard of it. I don't know very much about it. So he introduced me to these two guys. This guy on the left is named Blake Roney, and this guy on the right is named Stephen Lund. So when I met him, I said, look, let me just cut to the chase. Let's save some time here. I said, what I'm going to ask you is if you make a successful product, the part of the proceeds go back to help villagers in remote places to get schools or water supplies, things they need. And they said, we'd love to do that. That's why we're in business. Whoa, I never heard that before. So we started working. And the first convention they invited me to, they gave me a $75,000 check to build a walkway through the rainforest in Savai'i so that the people could earn income from tourist visiting. That's my daughter Jane there. You can even spend the night up in the little tree house they have, and they'll send your dinner up to them. So these people started making money from a forest by not cutting it down because they cared so much about it. So here's some of the products. The designers here always make things better. Made out of sugar cane, wow. And new designs. Let me go through a couple of these, and then I want to talk about what I'm really excited about. This was the first product produced by us called polishing bark. It includes bark used by used by Native Americans in Vancouver Island, First Nation people, to rub on their skin before they go off into the sea in the canoes. We're using Siskupas bark, and here's the thing about Nu Skin. Like, they said to me, well, what do you want for design and packages? I said, well, I like your packaging, but maybe this needs something different. And they said, what do you like? I said, well, I like Estee Lauder's Original, it's nice packaging. Boom. They go to New York, they hire the designer out of Estee Lauder who designed Origins. Her name was Cynthia Graney. They brought her to Provo to design the Epoch packaging. And when she heard what we were doing, she put Siskupas bar into the original package. So if you run out of the product, you just rub the package on your arm. It was great. That's the first one. And it has glacial marine mud in there. And this is fun, and it's really good. Here's one that's endangered species. You guys, my father-in-law can't use deodorant on his arm, so this comes from Haiti. It's a plant, Citrus aurantium, that's very common and soft, and we use the funds from this to build a water system for the villagers there. Here we have Ice Dancer, which I invented when I was a professor in Sweden, because the Swedes, did I hear some Swede woo-hoo here? Okay. So they have this like a 100-mile, they call it Vasalopa, a cross-country ski race. So I built that for them. We use it all the time for skiing, for tennis, anybody on their legs, Ice Dancer. And when I'm gone in the jungle, Barbara and my daughters will have all their friends over for a weekend, and they have what they call spa night. So they put Firewalker on tired, achy feet, Ice Dancer on tired, achy legs, and then to make your foot more beautiful, they put Soul Solution. And they have a lot of fun, sort of a girls' night there. So, this brings me to my favorite product, which is called Ava Puhi Moni. If you say those words anywhere in Polynesia, they're going to take you and show you this cool plant. It grows, and you take the bulb and you squeeze it on your hair. I see Mr. Yasukawa here, my dear friend, really a family member from Nagoya. So lovely to see you. And I remember having him at the waterfall and squeezing the bulb on his hair. Again, if you can grow this stuff, great. If not, this is the next best thing, okay? Avapui moni, avapui. Let's all say that. Avapui, say that.
Avapui.
Okay, moni means true. Avapui moni.
Avapui moni.
Yeah, that's right. Now you speak Polynesian, see? And what was so fun is when I came to the company, I said, okay, let's make this shampoo. They said, well, what do we make it from? I said, well, this flower that grows in the jungle. And they said, well, how often a year does it flower? I said, well, just once a year. They said, well, where can we buy it? I said, you can't. And they said, well, we have to get it from the rainforest. I said, no, I don't want you touching the rainforest. So I said, how about growing it on old sugarcane groves in Hawaii? So they said, so you want us to make a product where we can only use this one plant flower that flowers once a year. We have to grow it ourselves and use it on old sugarcane. I said, yeah. They said, okay. So that's what they do. And it's really great, you know. I mean, they grow it in Hawaii, they have a little thing that spins it out. Here it is. And I need a volunteer. Come here. Here you are. Okay, come on. Okay. Hang on. Next time. Quick. Yeah. Oh, I want you to just feel my hair.
It's smooth, it's rich and thick and chocolate.
And what was that? Avapui moni. It does all the above. So, okay, let me keep going on here. I'm afraid I'm dragging on. So, I was so touched by what the company was doing in Malawi. I do have to see Barbara shortly. And so I came to the company and I said, you know, I really dig what you guys are doing in Africa. I've worked in Africa too. I speak very bad Swahili. I said, what could I formulate something entirely from Africa, from African villages? They said, well, Joe to try, let us know. So, baobab, this is the baobab tree. And let me show you, I brought a little model here. This is from Germany. The Germans are so cool. I mean, I have a German son-in-law. Wow, that's cool. So, that's the baobab tree. It holds in the dry season 100,000 liters of water. It's a whole ecosystem. All the little monkeys and birds and bugs and bats all hang out there. And what happens is that the women in Africa get the pods. Look what I have for you. That's a real baobab pod. It's the fruit. It hangs down. Here's the blue hair, come on. Okay, we're gonna do a little experiment here. Can you see me in the camera? Okay. I want you to touch that with one hand. Put one hand on my head. Is that the same or different? See? Thank you. Okay, so there's delicious white pulp in this, and you can eat it. They used to call it cream of tartar. But the African women rub it on their babies, rub it on their children. So this came into a product, and I am afraid I have to take credit for the name, and I'm so sorry. It's called Epoch Baobab Body Butter. And I put some other things in it. I put a little plant that the Africans used to heal wounds called Centella asiatica. I put shea butter in it, which is an amazing hydration. I put a few other little secret things in there. And this has just been really fun for me. I can't keep it around the lab because, you know, when we, here it is, here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's supposed to rub it on the body. Anyway, it's sort of fun. Has anybody tried this stuff here, by the way? Anybody tried it? Now, we don't make claims for this, okay? We just say, oh, it has a plant used by indigenous people in Africa, but you know deep in your hearts what this stuff does, don't you? And I watch your videos and I just burst out laughing. Yep, they're smart. But again, I want to remind you, we do not make claims for, by the way, this is a seagrass basket from Vietnam. Woven. We're going to talk about the Vietnamese in a second. I respect them so much. So we have Baobab body butter, and my deal with the company is every time a jar of that sells, a tree is planted in Africa. A tree is planted in Africa. Wow. It doesn't have to be a baobab tree, it can be a fruit tree, it can be firewood. And so you've built an entire forest in Africa by your sales of these products. I think it's so cool. And so if I were going to rename it again, I wouldn't call it Baobab Body Butter. I'd call it Plant a Tree in Africa Kit. Buy this and a tree gets planted in Africa. Amazing. Okay, this one is really fun. This is called Yin and Yang. Uh-oh, did I forget one? Woo! You rub it on, it's white. You rub it harder. Now, is there anybody here who grew up in China? Anybody who grew up in China? Okay, I gotta come down here for a second. Because there's a song about the plant. Can the three of you stand up, please? Thank you. Yeah, okay. Niawa? Niawa? Dajahao? Okay. So we're gonna sing the song Holy Wu. Do you know that song? Everybody in China sings that song. Anybody know Moli Ua? Anybody know that? Moli Ua? Moli Ua? Moli Ua! Moli Ua, of course. Ready? Okay, go. Yay! Moliwa is the hero plant in this, called jasmine sandbag. It's what gives the Chinese secret of porcelain-like skin. How'd you like to be in a company that has a product that every child in China knows how to sing a song about it? Okay, just saying. 谢谢大家，谢谢你，谢谢各位. Okay, so why am I so excited about these products? Because every time a tube of this stuff sells, 25 cents goes into the Force for Good. And that's the payoff for me. We'll have to ask the financial guys here how much has gone into that, but it's big money because of what you're selling. Remember, I thought maybe my purpose in life was to build one school in Samoa. Guess what? We're up to 380. Barbara and I went down to the 350th school, and when I say 380, sometimes it's solar electrification scheme, sometimes a water supply. This is a remote village in a remote island in Fiji, never had a proper school. This is the 350th built. This little girl came up to Barbara, wanted her photo. Barbara said, we noticed she had bare feet. This girl walks 8 miles every day to get to that school. Wow. You know? Here's the chief. They were surprised I could speak Fijian. Here's Vietnam. We got really interested in a little endangered primate called the cat ba langur. Here it is. There are only 32. They're being shot for medicinal trade. So we went in, this is ecology, a little foundation we created that's supported by the Force for Good. We said, you know what, if you stop shooting those but you protect them, we will educate your children for life. We'll build school. We'll do whatever's required. Boom. The population is now doubled. And I think their hair is so cute, you know, it just makes me wonder if Just saying. Anyway, here's the school in Fiji. Madagascar. This is a cool place. The first school this village has had. This village has lemurs and parrots and orchids, and they've never had a school. So Force for Good, boom, we built this really nice school. But what you don't know is we couldn't get a helicopter to carry that stuff in there. This village is a 3-day walk from the nearest road. So the villagers carried all this on their backs. And then another village was so excited, they started having their children swim this river to get to the school. So we built a bridge. And the adults were worried they're crawling across. Oh, no, you can stand and walk across. So to me, and I know I've gone too long here talking to you, but to me, this really photo sums it up for me about the Epoch line. Because the Epoch line, we're given love and kindness by the indigenous people. We combine their knowledge with the cutting-edge science here at New Skin. I mean, these guys, these scientists work in that lab there, they're so smart, it's just scary, it creeps me out, you know. So glad they're on the good side, you know what I mean? We combine their science with my ethnobotany, we come up with these epic products. When you sell these products, money goes into the Force for Good. Now, I'm hoping this isn't streaming, probably is, but you know, I was so grateful that Estee Lauder one year had a campaign and gave $25,000 to fund cancer research, breast cancer research. New Skin, you have given, actually I'd be interested to know, what's your guess? How much money do you think New Skin's given through the Force for Good? And whoever gets closest, I'll give a free copy of my book right now, which is selling dozens of copies throughout the world. How much? Nah, that's a little high. A little bit. Who said 20? We're pretty close. Raise your hand up. Okay. And there are so few of these prints rare already. Because 17 million, between 17 and 20 million dollars, and it just keeps going. So let me just conclude with a dream here. Because this is a company that makes dreams come true. My dream was to help my friends and the people of Samoa, because I have such a great debt to them. And I'm so grateful for their kindness to me. My dream was to build schools for indigenous people. I built one school, I thought my life dream was fulfilled. We're up now to 380. That couldn't happen that way. My dream was that I could be with the people from around the world and learn their languages and learn how they use plants. And I have to say, it's been such a thrill for me to be with you. If you're new, if you're new to this company, I want to tell you one of the great advantages is you'll have friends from all over the world. And it's so great wherever I go. I can meet people, I can learn from them, I can understand them. And then I want to start off, end where I started off. I'm really humbled because you can tell I'm not a business guy. I'm just some sort of harebrained botanist. But what you have done has helped so many people throughout the world. And what you have done has certainly made my life feel that it has significance. And what you have done by your support of the Epoch products and the Force for Good is one of the best things that ever happened to me. The best being the day I married